the first steeplechase for many of these athletes, but definitely the second steeplechase for a lot of them. And they're off here. It's a big group, so we're going to try to play it safe over the barriers, make sure everybody gets over safely. You can see as they move up to the front here, Jordy Beamish on the outside, Bernard Couture, Anthony Rotich in the mix too, and Brian Barassa, we didn't mention him earlier. He's got the beard next to Barry Atua, both Tin Man athletes up there. But Rotich and Bernard Couture go to the front, and Hillary Bohr right there in the orange and blue going straight to the front as everybody shifts into position.
The steeplechase, as for those who are not aware, you run the first through the finish line the first time without any barriers, and you clear your first barrier right past that normal start-finish line on the track. Lap 2 is the first lap where you have the water barrier to contend with. And as we saw in this first lap, it was interesting all the way through the first, 250, the athletes are still running wide because they have the barrier to contend with, and they need a clear view of it, especially in a field that is this large. But out front, we have Hillary Bohr.
So we've got Bohr, we've got Couture, we've got Rotich, and then Rooks. And Jean-Simon Desgagnes, the Canadian athlete, but he's tucked in behind Joey Barry Atua, who's right behind Rooks in the blue. And that's Bohr up front, the 808 man. Bohr, like we said, has been on a tear on the roads recently. He set the American 10-mile record, 46:11 at the Cherry Blossom race in D.C. earlier this year. And he also won the Gate River 15K in 43:11.
And won the competition. They had the men's race start a little behind the women's race, and the overall winner got a grand prize, and it was him versus Emily Sisson, and he ultimately took on the win, looking strong all the way through the finish. So he's got some range and clearly some strength as he brings it all the way back down from a 15K to a 3K.
And Couture is a fighter there in second position. This would be a big feather in his cap if he could take down Hillary Bohr here in this race. But Bohr is the heavy favorite. And now it is Couture out front taking over for Bohr. So they're pushing the pace together here. And Rotich in that third position. Brian Barassa, the 819 steeplechase man of the Tin Man Elite, USA athlete. Kenneth Rooks, as we said, is wearing the Cougars singlet for BYU. And Rooks is an 822 runner. So Couture, Bohr, Rotich, and Brian Barassa.
The front three, all part of the WCAP program, training together up in Colorado Springs, and so the ability to kind of train as a, being in this race then together, able to have the comfort of being surrounded by teammates that you train with day in and day out, can make it that much easier to just go out to the front and execute. Because sometimes it's tough to be willing to put yourself up out in the front and not know if everyone's just going to work off you. But if you're out there with teammates and you can kind of potentially share the lead and work together to get until the racing end of the race.
We've navigated a lot of barriers together, but it's still Couture out front and Rotich now moving past Bohr there. Anthony Rotich of the WCAP. And it's bunching up front there. But take a look, right behind Barassa, who's wearing the Adidas singlet, who's in fourth position, and behind Rooks, you've got a sneaky Jordy Beamish coming up there, the OAC athlete in his second steeplechase ever. First one, he took the win in 8:42, which is not a bad time for your first steeplechase there, but he's in a whole different crowd here, but sticking his nose in it early. Taking that win last week, as we said, in the mile, his bread and butter event, 3:59 closing in 53. It's a lot more difficult to run a 53 over barriers. But as Dan Hewling said a few years back on the broadcast, you got to be able to run 58 seconds to close out a last lap of the steeplechase if you want to make a U.S. team. Beamish actually is from New Zealand, so he would be representing
not worried about
New Zealand.
that.
He's
Yeah.
not worried about making any U.S. teams. But here he is working himself into 4th position, and this is a great development here because you've got Couture, you've got Rotich, you've got Bohr, and then it's Beamish here, the new kid on the block, mixing it up with some real world-class steeplechasers. Bohr is one of the best U.S. steeplechasers we've ever had. 808 is no joke, and he's tucked in right there. Beamish is giving him a stare right in the middle of the shoulder blades there. Bohr now back to the front, then Couture, and then Beamish.
Whoa, we saw a little bit of a jostling right there with Beamish and Rotich.
And now it's back. So that's Alec Basten up there, jumping into 3rd position, Under Armour athlete. And Bohr's out front getting a little bit of daylight, but Basten coming in. And now what Bohr's pointing to somebody on the infield there. Don't know what that was all about. But it's Bohr, Basten, and then Couture, Rotich, Jean-Simon Desgagnes there, and then Jordy Beamish. So now it's being strung out a little bit as Bohr has injected some pace into this. That was a 65-second last lap.
He's gotten 10 meters on the pack with
now
that surge.
We are well within 2 laps to go as they knock over this barrier here, get to the 200-meter mark, and then we've got 600 meters to go. Bohr's got a gap, and he's got a lot of strength, as we know from his time on the roads earlier this year.
Is that Brooks? Someone just made a move to move up position. I'll tell you once we can get a better view.
That looks like Rooks of BYU,
Yeah.
yes, in 2nd position, and then Basten in 3rd. So now it's the college athlete going after Hilary Bohr, the world-class steeplechaser, arguably the best the U.S. has right now.
Beamish moving back up past the 2 earlier leaders of Rotich and Couture.
And here we go. They passed the bell lap, 7:16 on the clock. So 8:15 is that world standard time, but Rooks
Is
making
moving.
a move on Bohr here. Let's see if what Bohr has left to give. And he looks over. Rooks takes the lead over Bohr. The college athlete from BYU is now in the pole position as they head into the final barrier, the final water pit, excuse me. Rooks taking his time with it, getting over it. And Bohr's over as well, taking a look back. So Rooks with the full head of steam right now, coming onto the home straight, driving, makes it over the barrier, navigates the last one smoothly, and now it's head down to the tape.
Beamish, oh, his final kick for third. Beamish is.
And that's 8:18. Let's see what these results are here. 8:17.62 for Rooks. That is a personal best, and he beats George Beamish, 8:20. We missed that on the camera there. He inched past Emmanuel Bohr. George Beamish
Oh, yeah, okay.
of the On Athletics Club defeats Emmanuel Bohr. 22-second personal best in his 2nd steeplechase ever. Look at that, dapping up Kenneth Rooks there on the broadcast.